If you buy off-market real estate, you know the late-night reality of sourcing deals. You spend hours sifting through fragmented leads, cold calling, and chasing down properties, only to run into dead ends and mismatched expectations. You could try to rely on the multiple listing service, but the MLS is a retail-priced battleground. The moment a property hits that feed, you are fighting a dozen other buyers, driving the price up and crushing your potential margins. To bypass the retail crowd, investors turn to the standard alternative, local independent real estate wholesalers, who promise off-market opportunities. But that industry suffers from a massive, well-documented credibility deficit. You constantly receive verbal offers that never materialize, deal sheets packed with artificially inflated comparable sales, and properties tied up by operators who have no real intent to buy. These operators routinely write up contracts, fail to find a buyer, and walk away without facing any financial penalty. When those ghost contracts vanish, you are forced to start your property search over from scratch. You are currently forced to choose between overpaying for heavily shopped MLS listings or wasting dozens of hours validating unreliable noise from amateur wholesalers. Secured Close Real Estate is an acquisition pipeline built specifically to solve this industry-wide trust deficit. It operates as a technology-enabled marketplace, connecting motivated sellers with active cash buyers. The key structural difference is how they acquire. Instead of just passing papers without consequence, they act as the principal acquirer, putting their own capital at risk before they ever try to assign a contract to you. Alongside that financial commitment, they utilize proprietary market intelligence software to run rigorous due diligence on every property, pre-packaging the math before you even see the deal. This animated matrix breaks down your three main acquisition channels. The question we must answer is, does this platform actually deliver reliable off-market deals, or is it just a premium tech wrapper placed over a standard wholesaling operation? To find out, we will evaluate this model against the status quo using three strict criteria: deal exclusivity, diligence reliability, and contract certainty. Evaluating this model requires you to weigh the profit margin loss to the platform's assignment fees against the sheer velocity of time you save in sourcing. The first step for an investor on the platform is establishing a strict acquisition profile. You register your highly specific geographic and financial criteria. This diagram illustrates the buy box system. Incoming deals are filtered through four exact parameters: targeted geography, price range, property type, and condition tolerance. Access is entirely free. You only receive alerts for properties perfectly matching those stated criteria. Compare that precision delivery model to the chaotic spray-and-pray email blasts sent to massive, unsegmented lists by local wholesalers. But this creates a clear operational trade-off. As an investor, your inbound deal volume becomes entirely dependent on the platform's active marketing footprint in your specific target zip codes. If Secured Close has low outbound marketing penetration reaching sellers in your desired neighborhoods, your acquisition pipeline will simply remain dry. The buy box mechanism acts as a highly efficient noise filter. It keeps bad leads out of your inbox, but it only generates tangible value if the platform's geographic reach overlaps directly with yours. Once you receive a property lead, you hit the next bottleneck: the exhausting process of analyzing raw data to uncover the true underlying market value. The current standard requires you to perform redundant due diligence. You spend hours independently pulling comps and running repair math from scratch, usually on poorly priced wholesale properties that don't pan out. This split-screen visual shows the solution. Every property alert includes an AI-generated investment memo. It populates critical metrics: after repair value, comparable sales, and repair cost estimates. It also includes a proprietary risk score, flagging hazards before you commit. Having all this data pre-packaged eliminates the need for you to sit down and perform the preliminary math from scratch on every single lead. Because the intelligence is pre-calculated, you drastically accelerate your decision-making cycle. You review the metrics and move aggressively to secure high-confidence targets before other buyers react. However, relying on this system introduces a strict trade-off. You have to trust their AI's pricing accuracy and algorithms over your own baseline intuition. You are also paying for that convenience. As an investor, you pay an assignment fee embedded within the final deal price to access this level of prepackaged data. The AI memo effectively transfers the heavy lifting of initial due diligence from you, the buyer, back to the wholesalers supplying the deal. Even with great data, The final and most critical pillar of the transaction process is securing absolute certainty that the contract will actually make it to the closing table. Conventional wholesalers tie up properties without risking a single dollar. If they fail to find an end buyer, they use escape clauses to walk away seamlessly. This timeline illustrates secured closes' defining operational mechanism. At day 15 of their review period, if they proceed, they wire an upfront, non-refundable escrow deposit of up to $2,000 directly to the seller. For you as the end buyer, that hard financial commitment signifies a locked-in seller. It proves the platform intends to close and that the transaction is real. But this certainty places a strict operational requirement on you. Because Secured Close has their own capital on the line, you must be capable of closing the transaction within a rigid 45-day window to protect that deposit. By putting financial skin in the game, they eliminate the flakiness of traditional wholesaling. In exchange, they demand uncompromising operational and funding discipline from you as the buyer. Now we arrive at the ultimate economic dilemma. You have to balance the pursuit of raw profit margins against the velocity at which you can actually acquire deals. Keep in mind, Secured Close charges absolutely zero commissions or hidden fees to the original seller of the property. Instead, the platform generates its revenue entirely through the wholesale assignment spread. That cost is baked directly into your final purchase price. That assignment spread represents equity you are actively forfeiting. You are paying a premium out of the deal's potential upside in exchange for off-market exclusivity and detailed data curation. Once the contract is signed, the terms are set in stone. The platform allows no last-minute price reductions and absolutely no surprise buyer contingencies. Secured Close operates as a high-cost, high-efficient filter. They force you to trade maximum potential equity for guaranteed friction-free transaction certainty. To decide if this makes sense for your business, we need to identify exactly which type of real estate investor this structured model serves. Let's look at the bootstrap hustler. This is an investor who needs to extract maximum equity from every single deal and relies heavily on negotiating directly with distressed sellers to get rock-bottom pricing. The platform's rigid 45-day closing window and non-negotiable pricing structure make it a terrible fit for bootstrappers who require flexible timelines or creative financing. Now look at the scale-focused investor, or a small fund manager. This is an operator with liquid capital ready to deploy, who values their own operational time over squeezing out the last dollar of raw deal margin. This specific demographic thrives on the platform. The pre-packaged financial data and guaranteed contract certainty align perfectly with professional operations that need to scale rapidly without getting bogged down in dead-end leads. If you are an investor exhausted by executing the rigorous due diligence that wholesalers should already be doing, Secured Close provides a highly reliable, data-backed pipeline that is absolutely worth the premium fee.